Ladies, I want to talk about something, so buckle up. This is going to be longer than the last conversation you had with your doctor about the same thing. I'm going to talk about perimenopause and menopause in women with long term addiction or long term recovery because this is one of the most under recognized relapse risk windows that I see. And women are constantly blaming themselves for something that's actually biological. So, if you're a woman in recovery in your late 30s, 40s, or 50s, and suddenly you're thinking, why is my anxiety suddenly fucking worse? Why is my sleep trash? Why are my cravings louder than they ever have been and out of nowhere? Why does it feel like my coping skills just aren't working anymore? This is probably not a recovery failure. This may very well be perimenopause. First, what perimenopause actually is. So, perimenopause is not early menopause and it's not just hot flashes. It's neuroendocrine transition where your estrogen and progesterone stop being predictable. And that's important, especially if you have a history of addiction, because addiction already changes your brain. So, long term substance use changes your dopamine signaling and your stress response, that HPA axis that you talked about in high school biology. Emotional regulation, sleep architecture. So, recovery builds a lot of this, but the system is still sensitive. So, now enter fucking perimenopause. Estrogen plus dopamine equals mood stability. Estrogen directly modulates dopamine. Dopamine is not about pleasure, it's about motivation. It's about emotional resilience. It's about reward prediction. It's your ability to tolerate discomfort. And as your estrogen starts to fluctuate or decline, your dopamine signaling becomes less efficient. So your anhedonia, or inability to experience anything pleasurable, increases. Your emotional pain tolerance drops. And for a brain that once learned fixed substances can fix this, that old pathway can light up again. And that doesn't mean relapse is inevitable, but it means that risk changes, and pretending that it doesn't is dangerous. So progesterone drops first, and that's huge. Progesterone is your calming hormone, and it enhances GABA activity, which is your brain's braking system. So perimenopause equals progesterone falls before estrogen. So women will experience increased anxiety and irritability and insomnia and almost panic symptoms, but that like wired but tired feeling. So if you've ever used substances to calm your nervous system, this can feel pretty brutal. Again, it's not weakness, it's biology. So your stress systems collide, addiction dysregulates the stress response, and perimenopause will destabilize it again. So that combination looks like, overreacting, emotional flooding, low tolerance for frustration, feeling not like yourself. Women will a lot of times say, I feel like I'm backsliding, but no, your biology changed and your recovery plan didn't. Trauma will resurface here too. So many women in recovery have trauma histories. Well, perimenopause reduces your emotional buffering capacity. So that means resurfacing trauma responses, intrusive thoughts, panic or rage without any trigger, sudden grief or despair. And so instead of asking, what support do you need, women are told to do more work. Sometimes the work is medical, go get hormones, go see 57 doctors that don't understand anything. But this is why midlife relapse risk is real for women. We don't talk about this enough. Women in midlife lose hormonal protection, and they're often the caretakers. So they deprioritize sleep, and they're told it's just stress. And relapse risk will slowly increase, and not because their recovery is failing, but because it didn't evolve. And what actually helps women in recovery during perimenopause often is hormone-informed care, aggressive sleep protection, stress reduction, not a grind culture, medication reevaluation, sometimes hormone replacement therapy, sometimes antidepressants or MAT adjustments, and a lot less fucking self-blame. So recovery is not static. It has to change as your body changes. But the takeaway here, I think, is if you are a woman in recovery and things suddenly feel harder in midlife, I promise you are not broken. You didn't lose your recovery. You're not weak. Your nervous system is adapting to another massive biological transition on top of a brain that already did that shit. So we need to start naming it. We need to start treating it. And we need to stop shaming women for their fucking physiology. The same way we need to stop shaming people for their physiology that have addiction.